Well, it's going to be the second anniversary of the horrific 7th of October Hamas terror attack soon that created new fault lines in Middle East. Now, ahead of that second anniversary, negotiators in Cairo are now jostling for a ceasefire that has seemed within grasp several times in the past as well. Just this morning, viewers, in the latest that is coming in right now, delegations are from Hamas, from Israel and the US are meeting in Cairo, dissecting and jostling over Donald Trump's 20-point proposal. Now, parts of that proposal have been accepted by Hamas, not all of it. Will that mean that eventually there will be a ceasefire? Is really the key question. Now, it's worth noting that Hamas's delegation is being headed by its chief negotiator, the one that was seen in a video for the first time since Israel's assassination attempt in Doha just a month ago. Meanwhile, just hours earlier, Donald Trump hailed negotiations that are taking place in Egypt between Hamas and countries from all over the world, is what he said, for the release of hostages and to end the war in Gaza, and that he says have been very successful and proceeding rapidly. Now, over in Israel, Netanyahu once again being slammed, and he's also slamming Europe, saying that it's irrelevant in peace talks. Remember, Netanyahu is also under tremendous domestic pressure, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But first up, listen in to the Israeli Prime Minister.
Europe has been absent because Europe has basically caved in to Palestinian terrorism, to radical Islamist minorities in their midst. And they basically said, just give them a Palestinian state, which would be the ultimate reward for Hamas after doing the greatest massacre against the Jews since the Holocaust. Now we'll give you a state in which you can continue the war against Israel. That's why Europe has essentially become irrelevant and displayed enormous weakness.
That was Netanyahu saying, why is it that Europe is not on the high table as a peace deal is being thrashed out, even as outside on Jerusalem streets, protesters and relatives of hostages chanted their names to keep up the pressure on his government and on Trump as well for a final deal. Remember, those hostages have still not been freed. They haven't seen sunlight for 2 long years. Listen in.
The proposal is clear. All hostages must be released within 72 hours. We, the vast majority of the Israeli public, are looking to your leadership and count on you to make sure it's signed and fulfilled.
Hostages, living and dead, need to return. It's one of the key conditions of the peace formula. And that part has been accepted, though, by Hamas. It is the several other parts of the 20-point formula that is yet to be finalized. Now, across the fence in war-ravaged Gaza, there are hungry and desperate displaced Palestinians that are gathered on Sunday at a charity kitchen hoping to fill their pots with hot food. The food situation across the entire Gaza Strip has only worsened since a UN-backed monitor declared parts of the territory were experiencing famine last month. Now, how bad the situation is has been a matter of great global scrutiny, even as all eyes are on whether or not a peace formula will happen. Now, we're going to talk about whether it's going to lead to lasting peace, whether that formula will eventually be accepted by all parties, and is this really the best possible solution on the table? We're going to talk about all of that. But first up, I want this report to be played out, viewers, that talks about the decimation of Hamas leadership, which really was a turning point in the 2-year-long war and is the reason why hopefully those peace talks look like most successful, or the possibility looks most successful right now than ever before. Take a look.
October 7, 2023, a day of unprecedented violence as Hamas launched its attack, shattering illusions of security and triggering a fierce retaliation from Israel. In response, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu unleashed a sustained campaign, vowing to wipe out Hamas's top brass. One by one, senior figures were targeted. The group's cohesion battered by relentless precision strikes. In a dramatic technological milestone, a guided missile traced a Hamas leader's mobile signal, striking decisively. The message: no one was beyond reach. Gaza's militants were left reeling, and the world saw a new kind of warfare in action. The shock carried across borders to Qatar, as senior Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was mourned at his funeral in Doha. After another targeted assassination, the era of safe havens for the group appeared to be over. Amid global scrutiny, Donald Trump threw vocal support behind Netanyahu, warning Hamas to fall in line. For the first time in years, Hamas's leadership began to fracture under coordinated pressure, with new negotiations and hostages exchanges signaling a shift. As Israeli intelligence continues to target remaining leaders, the future of Hamas hangs in the balance. Will they regroup and resist, or has a new era dawned for the region? NDTV Bureau Report.
All right, let's get a quick word from Benny Benjamin. He's a former Israeli soldier joining me on the broadcast, even as we put up those big questions to him. The reason why we ask as to whether or not this ceasefire will actually hold, and whether some of those 20-point proposals that have been put forth will be accepted or not, including the crucial one, which is whether Hamas will agree to disarm or not. Mr. Benjamin, your thoughts on the fact that these negotiations are taking place, but should we be hopeful of lasting peace?
Hi, namaskar, first of all from Israel, shalom. As per what I think and what I'm knowing from the news and from my Prime Minister, that we are already stopped the war. The war is already stopped. Now the ball is in their hand. They must do the efforts and release our hostages back. After releasing our hostages back, the negotiation will start. If Hamas will be staying on their seats, I don't think there will be peace in this area. If Qatar will not support Hamas, and if Iranians will not support Hamas, maybe we'll have peace with the Gazans and with the Palestinians in West Bank. The message must be clear. They must disarm all the militants, including everybody. We are not harming anybody if they will not harm us.
That's
that
one
is very
aspect
clear.
of it. The other aspect of it is that Israel needs to withdraw completely from the Strip. That's another aspect to it, right?
20 years ago, we already withdrew from the Gaza Strip. I mean, each and every millimeter of the path, we have given them back. If it is supposed to have, Israel is not supposed to come back to the borders before they start the negotiation. After they start negotiations, there are steps to do it. We are completely with the 20 or 21. The deals are there with the president and with our prime minister. We are exactly doing whatever it is written in the paper. So I mean, we don't have any problem to negotiate, and we don't have any problem to release some terrorisms that we have in our jails. But I think the first point is our 48 hostages. Our 48 hostages must come back, and we agreed to everything.
Very quickly, Benny, the fact that Donald Trump wants this to be done before Friday, do you think that adds too much pressure on these negotiations, or do you think that could be a good thing leading to some sort of a closure?
I think it is a good thing. I think it is the pressure must be on the both sides. I don't care about Hamas because they are guerrillas for me. I don't count them in anything. But because we have our 48 hostages, we are counting out for the Gazans and we are counting out of the Americans. And I think he must press how much he can press. And we don't have any problem. They will press our Prime Minister too. All
right, let's leave it there. Mr. Benny Benjamin joining me on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Viewers, bottom line really is that as negotiators gather in Cairo once again, one thing is absolutely clear. that a unified Gaza Authority with a clear charter and a long-term vision is extremely important. Only then any ceasefire would actually hold. Of course, there are political pressures that are mounting on all sides, from the hostages' families on the streets of Jerusalem to the starving civilians lining up for scrapes in Gaza. And then there is Donald Trump, watching closely, positioning himself as the global deal maker. But the big question remains, will this historic deal finally get him that elusive Nobel Peace Prize? Well, some would say the reason for Trump to hurry is not just that lives are at stake, but also that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee is set to take its decision on Friday. It seems the road to peace goes via Cairo, but has a critical pit stop in Oslo.